What's up, everybody? It's your girl Princess, and we are here today. You are tuned into the CEO Confession Show, where we have the no fluff conversation on what it takes to really become an entrepreneur. Today, I am joined by
Michelle,
Nikki,
and Kels.
Okay, and today we're going to be talking about debunking the myths of what it really takes to build a brand on Instagram. All right, guys. In a world of social media today, so many people feel that they have to look rich to have a successful brand. They rent the houses, the cars, the clothes, and the bags to portray this image and this status. They haven't to try to attain a status that they don't even have. Why do you feel that people don't want to be seen starting from scratch, starting from the bottom, as Drake say, and looking like a beginner, which is honestly where they are?
Oh, this is so good, Princess, because I feel like everybody wants to be a boss and nobody wants to do the work. But what it actually does take is real work to run a business, not renting big cars and all the expensive houses. But I think in our society, it's a get rich quick and everybody wants to get there really fast. And the only way to do that is to buy your way in or to buy followers, as we see on Instagram. People would rather buy 10,000 followers than actually work hard to get 10,000 followers. And I feel that when buying followers, they can't actually do anything for your business. So you have to have really a different kind of mindset, I think, when it comes to Instagram, and know that it's a long-term game. And you really do have to put in the work in the beginning, and then you can reap the benefits, I would say, some years later, because it's going to take some years. I mean, you could blow up in a week or a month, but do you have the right business infrastructure too? So I think that everybody wants to be a boss, to answer your question, that nobody really wants to do the real work. And if you really do want to be successful, you just got to put some elbow grease and some work into it first.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes.
It definitely takes time and effort because everybody wants that overnight sensation feel, but it doesn't happen that way. I watch some people that I started out with on TikTok, and then they're here, I'm here. Then at one point I was ahead, and like you're kind of gauging yourself against people you kind of start out with. But like you said, to piggyback, it definitely is mindset, because I didn't know people buy followers, like mine's was definitely nose to the ground, putting in the work to try and, push out content to get my followers up. But then it can happen where you get one good video, one good reel where you get 1 million or 3 million people who see it, and then boom, you go from 1 to 5,000 or whatever. It's all about that hard work for sure. You just got to stay positive and know that when it's your time, it's your time.
And the bought followers are not paying your bills. They're not adding any value to your brand. So it's like, it's just a vanity metric. Why are they here,
Yeah, these are some really good points. So I would say I'm actually not even on social media. I don't have social media. But when I did start my business, I was. But I think that the reason why people don't want people to see them start where they are, I think that as an entrepreneur, there's a place of vulnerability. And I think that it's a very vulnerable place, and it's a very naked place, because everybody, like you said, they don't wake up overnight, and they're not this success overnight. And I think that our generation is this popcorn generation where it's just this 2 minutes and they want it out of the microwave and they want to be ready, and it doesn't work that way. And so I think the learning to show people how to get it out the mud, I think, is the most realistic way to be able to show how to be an entrepreneur, because we didn't get here overnight. We had to struggle, we had to cry, we had to lose some sleep, we were stressed, right? And I think that some people don't want to see that. They don't want to see that struggle. And I think that that's the real life of an entrepreneur is that in order to be able to get to success, you have to struggle.
Not to mention, too, if that's not your primary thing, if you are working full time, or if you are a parent, other facets that have to be factored in as well to this commitment of being, content creators, all of those things also make an impact on, how much time you can give it. And it'll affect your mental as well, because you're watching this happen and you're knowing that your heart is in it. but you had to, I don't know, put the kids to sleep, or you had to, cook dinner or something like that. And that took away time from your production work, So if you're a one-man band, all of those things play into that.
That's so good. So have you guys ever felt the pressure to fake your lifestyle thinking it will take you further sooner?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
I'm not good at lying. From the time I was a child, my mother could tell you're not telling the truth. So the best thing for me, no, I don't want to be anybody else.
Yeah, and I think that authenticity, being authentic, and I think being genuine goes a lot further than faking it, because you have to think, like, when we realize and we see that someone is not being their true selves, it takes away the credibility of an individual person, and then it takes away the influence. And so I think that the best way to show up is to show up as yourself. I think we want to relate to people. Exactly. And when you show up with these facades and these masks, no one can really connect with you, and no one can really relate to you. So I think that I've never seen really the benefit in not being myself.
I agree. It's hard to keep up with that. Like, if you're portraying someone, I think about this when I think about like men and women when they cheat. If you're portraying yourself to be one person, you're going to have to remember everything you said to be this one person to tell multiple people. And you just got to keep adding on to that's too much.
You'll eventually slip up and forget what you done said.
I don't have time for all that.
Everything that's done in the dark will come to light. And so there's been a lot of people that have been exposed on social media about not being their true self. And I agree with everything you all said. I think that, again, in our society, everybody wants to be like the it or whatever. And maybe they feel like their personality or who they are isn't enough, but it's always enough. Like you said, true authenticity will always shine through. I've been doing this for 14 years. I started out as an influencer, and I just started to be myself. When you're yourself, you will attract your tribe. You don't have to like work extra hard to get people to like you. One thing that I always think about when I do this work or when I do what I do is I honestly don't care what other people think. That's how I'm able to show up as true and authentic as I am, because I do not care what anyone thinks, because that person who may think that, is something wrong with them, right? They're having something to say about what you do. I think that showing your true authentic self makes you relatable. This is how brands build like, know, and trust, because if you're not relatable in this day and age, especially for founders, like say you have a beauty brand, I want to know who's behind the beauty brand. I want to know who's making the lemonade. I want to know who's really in the trenches, because they have a story. And that's what I think is important with every person. We have a story. And if we just tell our stories, become relatable, build that trust with our audience, that you can do anything. Now, it will be harder. And I think we were talking about this earlier, about people who are characters. I feel like people feel like they have to be a character and turn it on and off, but maybe you should just be you. And then, like you said, it won't be so hard to turn it on and off.
You don't have to remember scripts. You just let that thing flow.
So good. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about being an entrepreneur is that you get more time. I feel you are way busier, have less time to do the things you want to do, especially in the beginning when you're building. If you don't have the time working a 9-to-5, then you won't have the time as an entrepreneur. You can be on the beach and have to stop to put out a business fire. And I've actually had that situation happen. So it's like always something going on 24/7. You know, the time just doesn't stop at 5 o'clock. Right. What is one of the biggest misconceptions you feel people have about entrepreneurship?
Oh, so many.
Gosh, where to begin?
But the time thing, I think that you're right. In the beginning, you're going to have to work. You're going to have to roll up your sleeves and get grimy with it, right? Because again, going back to our first question, everybody wants to be a boss, but nobody wants to do the work. I will say that you can have time in your business. It depends on your business model. So for me, I have an online business. None of my team is here where I am. We're all virtual. And so it's very easy for me to work on the beach if I did want to go to Miami tomorrow and work. But I've also put in the work and the time to be able to get my business to this place that where I can go on vacation whenever I want to. I think that, again, it depends on your business model. Some people have business models where they have to physically be in a location. Some people have online businesses. Some people have physical, places that people have to go into. So I think it really depends. But the work, you got to do it in the beginning regardless. And I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that you know, being an entrepreneur, it may make you happier, but will it? If you don't really want it, it may not make you happier. For me, I knew that I didn't want to be constrained to a 9-to-5 anymore. So this does make me happy. But I also know that I have to get up every single day to do the work. And if I do not, I won't make any money, because being an entrepreneur, don't make money every day. Maybe I should change my misconception to that. Like, you'll make money every day. No.
The laugh.
No, you will not make money every day. So I think, again, doing the work now that you can see, sowing the seeds today so that you can see the fruits of your labor in the future. Maybe the near future, maybe 10 years from now, because they say a success is 10 years, right? So that's definitely a misconception. We're going to change it to that you'll make money every day, which is a lie.
Exactly. And I think that's something big too. What you just said is planting the seeds, and people want to go right in and start picking up, like, where's my fruit? Where's this? Where's my accolades? Where's all my millions of dollars? And I'm like, it's going to take some time for you to get there.
You do have sometimes the flexibility that is there, but one thing it's different is that when you're working for somebody else's business, it's already established.
Correct.
So when you're working in whatever, if you work in banking, if you work in a school, that is somebody else's business that has already been established. So it seems easy to do a job. But then when you come out of that place and you start running your business, like, I am a one-woman show. I do everything. I manage my calendar. I book all of my trainings, my speaking engagements. I do everything. Yep. And I am more busy as an entrepreneur running a business than I was working in somebody else's environment. But I will say that the things that I learned in those environments really helped me to be able to become successful when it came to managing time, when it came to just having levels of professionalism and having high expectations. But I think that I get to, and I can run my business from anywhere, which is great. So if I want to go to Miami and go do something, I'm able to do that. But the other aspect of that is that if you don't have good time management skills and organization skills, your business will fail.
And also discipline. That's what people lack. So
self-control
and self-motivation.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. I feel like a lot of people have that misconception that, oh, this is an entrepreneur, they're able to sleep late, or they're able to take off when they want. No, like you said, if you don't have that discipline and you don't have that organization, your business will reflect that. And I feel, full transparency, every entrepreneur has that moment where you're going through some stuff. You might be depressed, and guess what? Your business is going to reflect that. Like you said, when you leave your 9-to-5 and you go full time with your business, you have to be prepared to go full time with your business. Mm-hmm.
And you don't make money every single day.
Yeah.
If you
Say
don't
it again for the people in the back.
Bible says if you don't work, you don't eat.
That's right. Yes.
So if I don't get up, I don't eat.
And $100,000 is really not $100,000.
It goes so fast.
The money goes
not in take home. I mean,
Yes.
you have to think about that. It's so many entrepreneurs preaching, "Oh, I'm a 6-figure entrepreneur."
Yeah, them
Pay
6
taxes.
figures
In
go
revenue
real quick.
or
Yeah.
like what you actually
Gross.
put in
Right.
your account, because it's not like,
Exactly.
I'm gonna be
Yes.
honest, like 6 figures. I mean, I don't want to say it's not a lot of money, but it's really
not.
When you
not
get
a
to
lot
that
of
point,
money.
you look back and like, it's
Yeah.
really not. It's
You
really
have to pay the
everything that has to
taxes
come
on
out
that.
of
You
it.
have to pay the taxes
Yes.
on that.
Yep.
The government want their money.
And then throughout your process of your business, you're spending to further market yourself. You're spending if you have, production, other things that people don't realize that you have to pay for unless you are 100% fully doing everything yourself. Then sure, you're cutting some costs, but otherwise you have to pay for those things.
Oh, so good, guys. When starting a business, what are the first steps? What is one thing you say, like, you need to do this when you're starting your business? What are some things that should be considered overall? If you could think of one thing off the top of your head.
Get QuickBooks. Do not start your business without a business bank account. It'll be
good.
a nightmare. Mm-hmm. Because you're mingling money, co-mingling funds. That's one thing. I started my business with QuickBooks. Now, I didn't have no accountant because obviously when you first start, you don't have money to have an accountant. But at least with QuickBooks, all of your funds will be in one place, and it won't be hard when you do get an accountant. They could come in and clean up. But that's the first thing. I mean, one of the first things. Obviously not the first, but just one of the things that comes to mind.
It's like your business money is not your money. It's not time to start buying bags and clothes and everything else. Like,
No.
that money needs to go back into your business. Definitely.
I'm going to back all the way up. I didn't even made it to QuickBooks yet. I'm going to back all the way up, which is get your mindset together.
Oh, yes.
So before you can even get to QuickBooks, I think you have to understand your why and understand your purpose. Why are you starting this business? What is the vision? What is the mission? What do you want to ultimately accomplish? What are your 5-year goals even before you begin? Because how you start is going to be how you finish. And so I think that for some people, I think that their motives are just not right with wanting to start a business. Their mindset is not right. And they have wonderful and they have great ideas, and that's wonderful. Yeah. But if you don't have the ability to execute those, you will never see what it is that you imagine. So I think that some people really need to stop and they really need to ask themselves, is this the time to start the business? Like, just because you have the idea now doesn't mean that the business needs to start now. So I think mindset, I think self-reflection, I think is where some people need to start.
I agree.
Amen.
I agree. I was going to say something similar. I was maybe go back a little further than you.
I started right off with the money.
Yeah.
Get it together.
To the money.
For me, in that mindset piece, I had to get right with God. Like, I needed him behind me for sure, because like you said, leaving away from your full-time job to pursue yourself fully, that takes a strong person. And for me, I needed to get myself in that position to where I was confident and I knew that, like, all right, I'm ready to jump off this cliff. And I trust him to carry me to fly.
Yeah. Faith.
Yes. What is a major lesson that you all have learned since starting your business? For me, it's definitely to ask for help. Like, I do not have to be a one-woman army, sister soldier. Like, it's okay to delegate tasks. It will get done. You can just state what I need done and how I need it done. So that's been like one major thing for me since starting a business.
So I guess I'm about to just debunk the whole social media thing here, but I realized that I didn't need social media to run my business. And I think that when I started, right, that was the thing to do, is I need to build a brand, I need to build a presence, and I need to have this following. But when I realized and I sat back and I looked at the type of business that I have, the companies and the organizations that I work for are not on social media. So I'm trying to reach people and they're not even there. So when I actually took that moment to realize that, you know what, I wasted a lot of time creating content, doing all of this other stuff that I didn't need to do. At that moment, I realized I can get off social media, because for me, there was no other reason to be on there outside of that. So I think that everybody needs to assess their own businesses and they need to get the tools and the resources that are going to work for them in order to make their business successful. But I didn't. I kind of followed what everybody else actually did.
Oh, I would say for me, one of the biggest lessons was just learning the people who I should partner with and not. That not everybody is a business person. Not everybody has the right mindset. So really navigating through that, because I feel like I'm a very kind person, but as a businesswoman, it's kind of like cutthroat. So I really just balancing that with my kind heart and also saying, okay, this person not right. And this is, not a really good feeling or a business relationship or partnership.
Discernment.
Yeah, just discernment. I would say that has really been a really driving factor in a lot of the mistakes and things that I've learned from. I don't even call them mistakes. I say everything is a lesson. It's not a loss. It's a lesson. And there's even this song. I don't know if you all like music. Well, you do. But
give us a note real quick.
There's these artists. Their name are Chris and Teeb, and they have trap affirmation music. And so one of the songs that they have is I win, I don't never lose. And like, I don't lose, I learn lessons. Every day is a blessing. So I play that song every day because it's true. Like, everything was a lesson. And so if you just look at it and really take out, like you said, what God was trying to show you in that lesson, I think moving forward, you will be better. So definitely learning to, navigate different people and different relationships. Definitely.
Yeah. Yes.
I agree.
My biggest lesson is probably like getting my circle tight. You have to cut off people who you probably don't think you or never thought you would have to cut off just to get your core together. Like, once you get your core together, and sometimes your core can mess you up too, right? Because the devil attacks you with family as well. But once you get your core together, you can, matriculate around better. That's probably my biggest lesson.
That's good. So many people get discouraged by looking around and seeing the success that others have, not realizing or taking into consideration that this person has literally been in business. And like you said, for 14 years, people have been in business for 10 years, 5+ years and longer. And it's going to look totally different than where you're at. What advice do you have for someone who is discouraged because they don't have tunnel vision and not focused on their own plate? Like the teacher said, keep your eyes on your own paper in school. Exactly. They all over the place. So what advice do you have for them because they're discouraged from what they're seeing today?
I think for me, I'm in my own race. Like, I don't worry about what somebody else is doing because I know when it's my time, no one else can affect that. Like, what's for me is going to be for me. I'm not competing against anybody else. Like, you have to be successful for yourself before you can be successful for anybody else.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I was going to say, my biggest competition is who I was yesterday.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest competition, is to become better each and every day. And I think that when you realize that you are only competing with you, then I think that is a different type of mindset. And I think also understanding, what does success mean to you? How do you know that you are successful or not successful if you don't know what that means? So I think that for me, I think learning, what does that look like for me? What does success look like for you? Like, get your definition of success. How do you know when you've actually arrived? So I think that learning how to stay in your lane and stop looking, like you said, being like a blinder. Like, they put blinders on horses when they're in races. They can't see the other things, the other horses that are on the side of them. So for all they know, they in first place. Unless the horse actually goes past them, they think that they're in first. So I think that's just being able to, like you said, to be able to have that tunnel vision and to stay focused. I think, and again, why are you discouraged?
Right.
Are your expectations even realistic? Some people have very unrealistic expectations.
Yes.
Like, you're not going to be an overnight success. And so I think that understanding and having the appropriate expectations can actually prevent and mitigate disappointment.
That's good.
Well, this is good. So I'm bringing back to social media because, I love social media. I think that a lot of people have the wrong mindset about social media, and they can't put on blinders because they're so worried about what everybody else is doing online. And I think that, like you said, if you put on blinders and you're like, okay, I'm gonna start this brand, I'm gonna leverage social media marketing, because believe me, it's just not all, like you said, you're not even on social media. And I try to tell people that you may not even need to be on social media, but really having tunnel vision to say, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wake up every day and do these things, but I'm not gonna look at what everybody else is doing, because here's the secret. They could be lying. How do you know that any of these people on social media are telling the truth? And I've learned, like, a lot recently, like, that a lot of people that, people may have thought were rich and famous and doing all this stuff was just a front. People can rent out real estate, like a mansion, and say it's theirs, and be in there in the closet with their clothes in it and everything. It's happened. So you have to have, number one, discernment. And number two, just don't believe anything. I think if you go in and say, I don't believe any of this. Yeah, she went on this trip and she got a new car and she got all this stuff. That's great. But it may not even be real. So let me just focus on what I'm doing. Use social media as a tool, because it's just a tool for you to reach more people. It's not supposed to be like, I'm competing with you, Princess, and I'm going to see what she wear today so I can top that tomorrow. Just use it as a tool to help you reach more people. And then I think you might have a different mindset. But just go in and thinking everybody's lying.
Yeah. Everybody lying.
Everybody lying.
I want to piggyback off of what she just said. And I think the other thing is that if you carve out your niche, and if you find your space and where you're supposed to be, you wouldn't be competing with anybody else anyway, because you're already doing your own thing, right? And so I think that when people see other people doing what they're doing, so if you're selling beauty products or lotions, or you're doing lashes, or you're doing makeup, then because to a degree it's oversaturated. Right. And so then it does I feel like it brings a lot of pressure. And it's like, well, how did this person get to be where they are? And so I think that it starts creating insecurities, which can then lead to, disappointment. And I think that just finding out, like, developing your brand, what makes you may be a makeup artist, but what makes you different than another makeup artist, right? And so I think, like, by finding your own niche and finding your own lane, I think that can be extremely helpful.
And when you say oversaturated, that just means it's more money over there, okay? What are some trials you faced as entrepreneurs?
A lot. I don't even know if we got enough time on today's episode to get through all the trials.
What's that one that just pops into your head and you just like, this one just took the cake right with this?
Oh, I would say this year one that took the cake was just trusting in other people who I may have had a relationship with. Again, going back to trusting people, really just going off of pure friendship and not like, okay, is this a really good business opportunity? Like, how is this going to look for me? But there's so many trials, but I will say one is just really trusting other people, because I'm really guarded when it comes to my business. I work really close with my clients, and just bringing in other people that may not have the same mindset as me.
It's good.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I know it's just so many.
I know.
It is.
I would say one of the biggest trials I think for me is I'm battling between these two. So one of them is, I think when I first started my business, like stepping out on faith and being able to know, is this the right time to leave my corporate job to go into full-time entrepreneurship? That was a big trial for me. And it was a test of my faith more than anything. And so it was like, okay, get out of the boat. So I think that sometimes it can be discouraging, sometimes when you're not getting the clients, right? Or sometimes you go through these dry spells. Those can be trials and those can be tribulations. But in my mindset, I'm like, listen, Lord, you didn't take me out of there to bring me over here into a place of lack. So I'm going to need you to provide, send some clients. So it's like, I think that some of those trials sometimes is that when your business does kind of go through those low points of just realizing, like, you know, that's not going to be forever. And then you get to that place to where it's like that trial then, and that tribulation, I think, ends up becoming really a testing season. Yeah. And then it ends. And then it's like, okay, I had to go through that in order to be able to understand where my business is going.
And that strengthens you too. I was going to say, too, that I feel like the dry spots would probably be a trial. But then I have to remind myself that I am not doing it full time. Like, if I had the opportunity to just pursue my business full time, then sure, I probably would move differently, you know, as far as following and things like that. But for the time that I can put to it, it's going the way that it probably should. So those dry spots, but then like you said, once you overcome those, you're motivated again.
Right. Like, we're back in business.
Yeah.
It's regrouping. Like, you take the time to regroup.
Yes.
What is something you all wish you knew before you started your business? Like, if somebody would have set me down and told me this, what does that look like for you all?
That you really do start from the bottom. I mean, the ground, scrubbing on the ground for real. Like, you're really concrete, nose to the ground. It's tough. It's tough.
That I wasn't going to sleep.
See, I'm a little used to that.
My hours
So
just totally changed. We were talking about time, right? And it's like, for me, it's not enough time in the day. And so sometimes I'm up 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I go to sleep and then wake up at 7 o'clock and I'm
back to it.
You know, back to it. And so I think being able to try to find a balance, a good work-life balance, I think was something that I don't think that I was prepared for, and nobody told me.
Oh, I think what I wasn't prepared for the people that I would lose, the friends that I thought that would support me.
Yes, talk about it.
I thought that I would get a lot of support. You know, I supported my friends through their endeavors, showed up at all of the events that they spoke at and all the things. And then when it came time for me, it was like crickets. Mm-hmm. And that really hurt, because it was a lot of people who I had amazing relationships with, who I thought would have, you know, supported, but they didn't. So then I was just like, okay, this, again, I'm not doing this for them. I'm not doing it for anybody but myself. And so I'm just going to move forward. And the people who will want to be in a part of my circle or be in my community or be interested in what I'm doing, they will come. So that's something I wish I would learn, that a lot of friends will be let go. Mm-hmm. And it's okay. It is like, okay. I don't miss y'all. It's cool, you know.
making space for who is supposed to be there.
I'm chilling. We
people to come
getting
in.
the cracking over here, but it just did hurt a little bit.
Yeah. One of you said that earlier too. Like, once you realize that whatever niche you're in, you're gonna attract that tribe. Your followers will come to you based off of who you are authentically.
Yeah. This was all so good. I hope you all learned something from this and have some great takeaways. And we will see you on the next episode.